Everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, our continuing series ranking Rancor, where I rank my top 5 favorite Sonic 2D and 3D games. As usual, we are using a very scientific method. I've looked at all the angles and all the variables, and I have created this listing based entirely on my opinion. So maybe you think it's absolutely accurate, maybe you think I'm dead wrong, but it is just opinion. Today we're taking a look at Sonic Adventure 2, released in 2001 for the Dreamcast. It's definitely been ported to a lot of platforms since then, but we are playing on the Dreamcast original, and it's actually the 10th anniversary edition, which comes in a really nice box with a soundtrack and a gold coin. Now, there is an asterisk on, you probably don't actually want to buy this edition, but I'll tell you exactly why at the end of the video, because this has one giant problem, and I don't really want to spoil it, but you'll see at the end. But as far as Sonic Adventure 2 is concerned, I could not wait for this game when I was a kid. Having played the original Sonic Adventure, I just wanted more. And I do like a lot of what they did with Sonic Adventure 2, but it definitely still does have some flaws that I actually think make it less than the original Sonic Adventure game, and I'm probably kind of blowing my own ranking list if I say that. But it definitely improves on a lot of the level design, the speed's definitely there, and there's a lot of really fun stages. All of these Sonic stages just feel great. You know, the controls sometimes will definitely get in your way, but that's something that's always been an issue with Sonic 3D games, and as far as the sense of speed's concerned, a lot of times you will just fight the controls, and that's something you need to accept when you're playing a 3D Sonic game, and Sonic Adventure 2 is not terrible at it, but it definitely has its issues and spots. But I absolutely love how the game plays and looks, especially on the Dreamcast. When I saw this, come out in 2001, it just looked so incredible. I didn't think the Dreamcast could do something like this, coming from the original Sonic Adventure. Clearly, Sega and Sonic Team had gotten an awesome grasp on the Dreamcast architecture and was able to make something that I still think, I don't want to say it looks modern, but it still looks great. It is aged well in and of the fact that it isn't like, original PlayStation 1 3D game, but the gameplay maybe hasn't aged quite as well, but it's still definitely a lot of fun to play, and I absolutely enjoy my time with it. I probably beat this game once every couple of years just for that nostalgia's sake, because in 2001 I was 16 years old, and I actually imported a Japanese Dreamcast before it came out in North America, because I had to play Sonic Adventure that much. That's much of a fan of it I was. But I will say this game has a lot of bug issues, worse than Sonic Adventure 1, and this is kind of when Sega really started having what I think are development issues, because you'll see here I'm just pushing forward and I just fall right off the stage in the first 10 seconds. And this game is riddled with bugs, and outside of one, they're not really game breaking, but you're definitely going to have a lot of frustration. But when the game's moving quickly and it's fast and everything feels fluid and your attacks minus that when you're landing, it feels great. So you do kind of have to forgive some things getting caught in the environment there to kind of see the great underlying game. And this is when Sega really likes to start slowing you down, and you have to do a barrel roll or a somersault underneath this gate here. But I don't know why they bothered to put that there, just as a design issue that I don't 100% understand. The point of the Sonic stages and the Shadow stages are to go fast, so why does Sega try to obstruct us? But the interesting thing is this is the first appearance of Shadow, and this is where Sega starts really adding more characters to the series, like Rouge the Bat. And some of them are great, and some of them are really, I feel like, Sega trying to make something new stick, because maybe the franchise was feeling a little stale. So this is definitely, I think, the last good 3D Sonic game for a while. Definitely Heroes is an honorable mention, but you won't be seeing it show up on this list. But this is, I think, where Sega both did some of their best work and also got a little bit off track as far as what the Sonic the franchise actually meant, or the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. It's just that I think they were trying to do a little bit of everything, and unfortunately when you try to be good at everything and not great at one thing, the results can sometimes feel mediocre. As you see here with Tails stage, you're flying in this hovercraft and you have like a shooting mechanic. And while I really do enjoy this mechanic and I really love the look and feel of the stage, it isn't really feeling like a Sonic game, and that's fine, but I really wish that it hadn't been like, a third mix of action stages, these shooting stages, and what I didn't even bother to capture for this gameplay are the Knuckles or Rouge the Bat stages where you're digging for crystal shards, because those slow the game down to a point that I really don't love. And I guess that's really my takeaway from Sonic Adventure 2 is, the action stages with Sonic and Shadow, I definitely love them. The stages like this with Tails or Robotnik are pretty good, they're enjoyable. And then the Find the Crystal Shard stages with Rouge the Bat and Knuckles, they're fine, but I really just want to get through them as quick as possible. But what you do is just listen to a little bit of the soundtrack of the stage because it's absolutely great. Enjoy the visuals, the textures are awesome for the Dreamcast, and I'll come back in just a bit and talk a little bit more about Sonic Adventure 2, but enjoy this little segment. And now that we've gotten to that goal ring, we're actually going to go to Chow World. And I definitely played around with this when I was a kid, but I think by 16 I wasn't super into the whole idea of having an animal living on my VMU, so I probably checked it out, but didn't do much with it. But I will say that Sega did an absolute great job with the graphics in this, because there's not a lot of stuff going around in the environment. I mean, Tails' tail, pun intended, looks awesome, everything's super colorful, and it's really rivaling something that, original PlayStation 2 games could have done, and it just goes to show the great power that the Dreamcast actually had. But it's a fun little mechanic that's in there. But moving right back to one of the action stages with Sonic, this is one of my particular favorite ones. And this is an instance when the game is moving fast and you have good control over your character. It feels amazing, and this felt great in 2001. Everything moved fluidly, and it still feels great, and that's what I really do love about these more classic 3D Sonic games, is that when they're firing on all cylinders, everything's flowing really well, and they're still as fun as modern games. And I would say that in some instances, Sonic Adventure 2 is probably more competent than some of the more recent 3D Sonic games like Sonic Forces. I would much rather play this than Forces. I've had really high hopes for that game, and unfortunately none of them really shook out. It was definitely a disappointment. But I do love that Sega puts in these little vignettes here too. Sonic grabs on to that rocket and it launches off into space. Everything goes really quiet and you just get this close-up of him riding that rocket up. And it definitely has that Sonic the Hedgehog attitude that Sega was really pushing, but it also looks really great as you fly into that little flare in the sun there. And then magically, Sonic is now snowboarding with a piece of a metal grate. And they definitely loved adding snowboarding into the series. But again, like I said, because it's moving fast and everything feels really good, it's definitely one of the better experiences you can have in the 3D Sonic franchise. And like I said, we're playing the 10th anniversary birthday edition of Sonic Adventure 2, and that's going to become really important very soon, and I'll explain why. But now, moving on to another stage, you're going to see that this is a combination stage where each character in Canon's core has to do something. And they start out with Tails, and then you're going to go to Robotnik, and you're going to move on from there. And this is kind of when the climax of the game was coming between those light and dark stories. You're going to get a little taste of everything going on, all the different playstyles. Which I actually like as far as, the climax of the game's concerned. They take every concept they've shown you and learned and you've enjoyed throughout the entire gameplay experience, and you have to employ each and every one of those tactics to be able to beat the game. So I do like when they use that cumulative learning experience to really drive home what's going on. But now as we move on to the Robotnik stage, here's the big issue. Sega, in their infinite Sega-ness with bugs, managed to publish a game and sell it to you in an unbeatable state, because as soon as Robotnik comes into his stage, he falls directly through the floor. There is no clipping here. Sega clearly just forgot to bug test this. Now if you hover in just the right way and move forward for like 4 minutes, it's technically beatable, but who's really going to do that? You see you die, you fall right through the floor, and it just keeps ending. And that's just classic Sega. They published a game you can't actually beat. So that's why Sonic Adventure is at number 4. I really struggled between this and the original, but this unbeatable stage really kind of pushed it down for me. But short of that, that's Sonic Adventure 2. I still love the game. It's still one of my favorites, but it is sitting at the number 4 spot. If you could do us a huge favor, go down below and hit like and subscribe. It definitely takes us a lot of time to make each and every one of these episodes. I'd love to hear your comments on what you think about Sonic Adventure 2. If you love it, if you hate it, go down below and tell me, because it's really fun to hear other people's experiences, because I don't just like talking into an echo chamber and hearing my own without any response back. We will be back on Sunday with an episode in that series, Tuesday with our mainline series, and we will have more picks on our Sonic Ranking Rancor series coming up for you guys. But thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, if you disagree with me completely, go down below and tell me why, and nicely, and I'd love to chat with you about it. But thanks so much for watching, we hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and Robotnik is going to just continue to fall into that buggy void. Bye-bye!
Stage select.